Hey guys, how's it going? So in this video today I will be showing you how to do the new Destiny 2 dungeon that got released with the 30th anniversary pack. On screen you'll see a couple timestamps to various parts of the dungeon just in case you want to skip ahead to any of them, in case you're stuck on any specific one. This is a 1310 power level activity and it is 3 people. So just bear that in mind when you are going into it. But you will start off on the Cosmodrome where you'll see a group of enemies fighting. They will drop these yellow engrams on the floor, which we'll need to pick up and collect to this white stone at the back of the cave. You're just basically charging this stone up. You'll need to do this a couple of times in order for the actual entrance to open. But when you have done it, the ground will open just like this. You'll need to make your way down to it, and all you'll have to do then is just basically navigate your way through the rest of it until you get to the next part. This is where the puzzle will start. You will start off by opening this door here, and there is a pressure plate on the floor, so be careful not to stand on that. How to get around this is just simply jump over it. This will come up a few more times within the dungeon, but it's not really too difficult to get around. Then you will need to jump through this tube into this little hidden area underneath the pads. Just activate a switch there. Make your way back. Then you will need to jump over to this part here, make your way through into the next puzzle area, which is a bit more complicated, but it's nothing too bad. Once you get into this area, you want to make your way into this little room here, again avoiding the pressure pad. Kill all the enemies in there, pretty simple. And there will be a little switch that you have to click on the back here, and there'll be a board showing you which doors are open and which doors are closed. It's just simply making your way to each room, killing the enemies, flicking the switch until you get to the very end one, which is just on the far left. Once you've activated the final switch, there will be a shrieker that spawns in the middle. Just kill it, get around it, and then you make your way to the end door, which is just over it. You can just, if you're on a warlock, you can jump over. Titan, just sword dash over. Hunt, that's a bit more difficult, but you can make your way past. Activate the switch on the other side, then make your way back to where you flick the final switch, where there will be another door opening. Again, kill the enemies in there, and it's pretty much that. Open the door into the next area. Okay, so for this area, there will be rooms listed 1 to 4. You need to go to number 1 first and activate the switch there. Then make your way over to room 3. This will open a door where there will be a hive wizard and a few more mobs, you just kill them. Activate the switch there. And once you have taken out all the enemies in that room, you'll need to go back over to room number 1, where again the same thing will happen. You need to take out the enemies. Basically, it's a rinse and repeat of that in this room. You're just taking out enemies, opening switches, until you get to the final door, which is room number 2. This is where a scorch cannon will drop. You'll need to kill the enemy and take the scorch cannon. Once you have managed to pick it up, you'll need to go back over to room number 4. There will be like a little generator which you need to shoot. You can shoot this and hold down the trigger button. Charge it up for a little bit just to get the power on basically. If you shoot it too early, the door won't open. Once the door is actually open, you need to be careful that you don't get killed by the trap. So just run up the stairs a little bit, and once you see it dropping, hide into one of these cubby areas here, and yeah, that's basically that done. After that, make your way up to the stairs. Up into these boxes here where there'll be a vent. Make your way through the vent, and this will lead on to the next area, which is the first boss encounter of the dungeon. I recommend fusion rifles and a linear fusion rifle for this, just because the seasonal mods match up really well for this, and you can do a fair bit of damage and get this done within 2 runs. So it's pretty simple there. It's not too difficult of a boss fight, but again, just make sure you planned. Make sure you got a well and a bubble. This will be really helpful for this part. But for this, you'll be killing another Scorch Cannon enemy. You're just basically picking up the Scorch Cannon. And on the left and right, there is 2 generators. I usually start off on the left one. You just shoot it. Hold it down for a little bit until the door actually opens. And once you're in there, just like the first part in the entrance, you'll need to kill enemies. And when you kill the enemies, they will drop these engrams on the floor. Make sure you pick as many as you can up. You can do 2 rooms in one if you really wanted to save time. But if you just want to play it safe, again, just go to 1 room. Make sure you deposit the engrams in that white stone at the start. It's just a basic rinse and repeat of that. Again, the boss fight isn't actually too difficult if you know what you're doing. It can be done fairly quickly. with the right fire team and the right setup. You can do it within one phase as well if that's something that you would like to do. But again, it's just as simple. A lot of the dungeon is just that as well, just rinse and repeat in different mechanics. So dungeons aren't really known for being too difficult. This one is by far not the most difficult to do, I'd say. But once you actually have deposited, you'll see this little prompt on the left. That means it's time for damage. You can pop your well down here, same with the bubble, and do damage from this area, or if you feel more comfortable doing it in a different area, it's completely up to you, and just depends where you want to do the damage from. You can do this, as I said, in one phase, but it's play it safe, do it in two, less risk of wiping and having to do it all again. But just make sure, again, it's just simple, rinse and repeat, getting the engrams, going to different areas, getting them, depositing them. Once you actually have done the final damage phase, you will get a loot drop in the middle. Just make sure you pick that up on the way past. Again, you're leading on to the next bit now, which is the sparrow part. I will leave this in its entirety, just in case you want to pick any of the switches up. The switches will extend the timer on the mines, which can be helpful if you're struggling to get this part done. This isn't too much of a difficult part, but for some people who don't know where the mines are, it can lead them to running out of time. And if the mines do explode, you will wipe and have to do this part again. So I recommend just taking it slow, steady, picking up all the mines where you can see them. I have slowed the video down for any parts where there is mines. So just make sure you pay attention to that and you'll be fine. Alright, so the final jump of the Sparrow, I recommend taking the left launch pad because it will literally land you on top of a time extender, which is just right there. It's pretty easy to hit, nothing too difficult, you can't miss it really. There is a secret chest in this room. If you'd like to jump up on this pad, make your way up onto this higher area here. It's in the right eyeball of the skull, just in case you wanted to get the secret chest that is there. After that, you're going to make your way through the crystals. Well, I think the crystals. You're going to make your way through this cave. Once you have actually dropped down and rallied the flag, there will be an enemy there to kill with a scorch cannon. You will need this in order to be able to navigate across this part of the map. There are these launch pads that you need to step on, and there are the generators that you need to shoot. Again, make sure that you are charging the generator up by holding down the trigger button once you've shot the rocket at it. Once you've done that, you can shoot yourself across the map, and what you're doing here is looking for a fallen servitor that you will need to get its shield dropped down. And how you do that is kill the enemies around it, just like in the first part and in the boss fight that you just did. Once you kill the enemies, they will drop engrams on the floor. You'll need to pick those up, take them to the white rock again, charge it up. Once you've charged it up enough, the shield will drop on the servitor. You will then need to push the servitor towards one of the launch pads. Make sure it is lined up with the big balloon in the middle, I'm going to call it. On the balloon, there's these four separate like shield parts that you need to hit. Once you have actually hit all of the fallen shields, you will need to make your way to the middle. Again, a lot of this dungeon is just rinse and repeating, so if you're stuck on any specific area, make sure to go back and check, because there's no actual separate mechanics. It's just pretty straightforward. Once you've done it once, it's the same again. So again, it's not too difficult to do. But once you've actually hit all four of the separate parts on the balloon, make your way back to the middle. You will need to angle the launcher up into the balloon. Make sure someone's got a scorch cannon for this. There should be one that spawns on every separate pad anyway, so you should be fine. Once you've finally made your way into the next part, this is the final boss area. You are taking basically most of the mechanics that you've learned throughout the rest of the dungeon, such as gathering the engrams, the scorch cannon, things like that. In the room, I recommend for the final boss fight, you will need to have a linear fusion rifle and a standard fusion rifle. It's just the best way to do this with how the seasonal mods are this season. So once you're set up and you've got all your weapons on that you will need, once you start the encounter, I recommend running straight down to the stairs here. There will be a Vandal spawn and a Shank. These are really difficult to kill. They have a lot of health. So killing them straight off would be the best option in my opinion, because then you can just focus on getting the engrams. How you get the engrams in this room is not the same as the last rooms. You don't just kill enemies and they drop. What you need to do is you'll need to kill the enemy that has the Scorch Cannon, and on both left and the right side there will be a generator for you to shoot. Once you shot it and charged it up, make sure you're charging it up with you holding down the right click again. They will drop from separate parts in the room, so engrams will drop from the left side, the right side and the middle. They will drop 10 at a time. Make sure you pick all of them up. Once you have picked all of them up, you can do this again. Just go to the opposite side from where you last shot, shoot it again. Make sure you gather all of the engrams before you deposit them, so then it's just easier to start the boss DPS. And I recommend doing the boss DPS from the crystal itself. Just make sure you've got a Titan bubble and a Warlock well. You can literally just sit in this and do damage from the middle. This should take about 2 phases. You can do it in one, just like the last boss fight, but I recommend just sticking to the 2 phase. It's a lot more safer and a lot less can go wrong. Once you have actually finally beaten the boss, there will be a loot chest in the back for you to grab. Again, this dungeon isn't the most difficult dungeon in my opinion. It's the longest, definitely. It's just, I wish there was another boss fight in it. I do like the dungeon, but it's definitely not on the top of my list. The Prophecy dungeon for me is still, overall, in terms of design and boss fights, it is my favourite, because it isn't just standing there shooting. The boss actually moves in the Prophecy. For this one, it's just a pretty stand there and shoot type of boss, which in my opinion is the most boring to play against. But the loot within the cave is still pretty good. They've brought back some old Destiny 1 guns, such as the IS Luna and the Matador. Definitely worth getting. They are currently meta within PvP, so if you can get yourself a good roll on one of them, definitely worth doing this dungeon for that. But yeah, that will be the end of the video. I hope you found the video helpful in any way. If you were stuck on any specific part, hopefully I helped you get through it. If you'd like to go back and click onto any other part of the video, just in case you want to run through it again, try and find out the fastest way to do it. That will be fine. As I said, I've left timestamps at the beginning of the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.